Welcome aboard, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden here with you on the last day of July, 2013. Summer's half over, for goodness sake, more or less. Well, maybe not so, but you know what I'm saying. My goodness, July, it's gone. Where does it go? Well, you know, a new study, this wasn't actually a study, this was a report that the United States government is giving $500,000 of your taxpayer money to academic institution in California to come up with a better way to propagandize the use of Gardasil, which is the HPV vaccine that they want to give to your teenage girls, the HPV vaccine that they want to give to your teenage girl. And because people don't like vaccines, and rightly so, because the pharmaceutical companies don't give us the correct information about the pros and cons of vaccines, and all we get is the party line. Oh, don't look at the man behind the curtain. Don't worry about that Vioxx stuff. It's perfectly safe and no problemo whatsoever. And meanwhile, 500,000 people die. Nobody goes to jail. There are no court hearings. Nobody's wrists get slapped. Maybe there's a little fine here or there. But are you kidding me? 500,000 people dead, and we still go to the altar of the MD. We still listen to what they have to say. You know, there are over 30 medical devices and drugs which were approved by the Food and Drug Administration as safe and effective for you to use, and they kill people. They kill people. And now there are class action lawsuits against them. So how can these two things be equal? How can we have a fair and equitable scientific board whose job it is to take care of the health of U.S. citizens, and they have such an unbelievably horrible track record? Well, there's only one reason that any of this can happen. It's because of a monopoly. The medical industry doesn't care about your health. It cares about profits. 100%. It's a 100% profit-driven runaway juggernaut. And, you know, you don't know this. You think, oh, no, it couldn't possibly be that, but it is. Your medical doctor isn't going to spend $150,000 for medical education, devote 16 years of their life to a particular methodology, and then abandon it overnight because it kills people. They're not going to do that. Oh, every once in a while, you know, a rare individual does do that. Every once in a while, a rare individual steps up. I went to school with a couple of MDs who got so frustrated with conventional medicine that they wanted to become naturopaths and, you know, dip their toe in that water. I've got immense amount of respect for people like that. But they're the exception. They're not the rule. They're the exception. They're not the rule. This becomes reality by consensus. You know, MDs just continue to play out the party line. They continue to play out the party line. Oh, Gardasil, that's an okay thing. Oh, the influenza vaccine, that's a safe and effective thing. And then they're not. They're not. We do not have an objective party. We do not have an objective party that's measuring the effectiveness of this stuff that has your back. We don't. Dr. Wallach and I do. Naturopathic doctors do. A handful of chiropractors do. A handful of committed holistic physicians around the country have your back, but we're also in the minority. And, you know, that's why we didn't form it, Dr. Wallach formed it. That's why Dr. Wallach formed his company, Longevity, as a networked business. And I've got to tell you something. Dr. Wallach caught a lot of crap in naturopathic circles when he decided to form his company as a network business. Because 17 years ago when he did that, everybody looked down their nose at network marketing. Oh, that can't be a good thing. Oh, no, we can't do that. We can't have people making themselves millionaires with hardly any overhead. We can't do that. Oh. Dr. Wallach took a lot of crap, but, you know, every dog has his day, and it's starting to roll around in our behalf. As we were talking about yesterday with Mike Randolph, if Obamacare is implemented, and remember, this is not a political show, I voted for President Obama, but if Obamacare is implemented, it is going to drive people into conventional medicine more than they are now, and that's going to change everything because the doctors who are the MDs now, because remember, it's a for-profit industry, the MDs now are starting to get away from accepting Medicare and insurance payments, and they're going to a cash basis, the same way that they do in Canada. You know, if you're a Canadian citizen, you get socialized medicine. It's baked into the cake. They take it out of your check every week. There's nothing you can do about it. And then that gives you access to socialized medicine where you have to wait for a long time to get care. And then it's the standard nonsense MD allopathic reductionistic party line. If you want to do anything different, you can hire a private doctor, but you have to pay cash out of the pocket for that. Well, that's what's going to happen in the U.S. Now, when people start paying cash out of their pocket for medical care, the free market opens up, and they're going to start to look around and say, hey, you know what? I think the naturopaths are getting way better results with their stuff than the MDs are giving me with their stuff for chronic disease. So you know what? Thank you very much, Mr. MD. I ain't going to give you my money. I'm going to give it to longevity instead. I'm going to give it to longevity instead. I'm going to learn how to become my own doctor with science-based, clinically verified medical therapeutics that actually work, that are actually science-based and clinically verified, actually unbiased science. Now, there hasn't been a whole lot of unbiased scientific research happening in this country for quite a number of years. You don't believe me? So here's what I want you to do. I want you to call up your local medical university. Whatever it is, whatever state you live in, there's a university in your hometown that, you know, prides itself on delivering the best education for doctors in the world. I want you to call up their research department. This is public information, by the way. It's a public university. I want you to call them up, see what research they're working on, and see who's funding it. See what research they're working on and see who's funding it. The pharmaceutical company funds all of it. The pharmaceutical industry funds all of the medical research that happens in the United States. So, you know, there are a couple of foundations like the, you know, Norma and John Clark Foundation for the Advancement of Medicine. But even when you get private foundations funding research, because it's done at allopathically directed hospitals, it's allopathically directed research, which means it's all drugs and surgery all the time. It's all drugs and surgery all the time. And by the way, when pharmaceutical companies, you know, spend $60 million to research the particular effectiveness of a drug, they do all the research in-house. So they'll do 30 different, experiments to prove on this particular new drug that they've rolled out. And when 10 of those experiments are successful, but 20 are unsuccessful, they only publish the successful ones. This is how things like Vioxx get approved, and then it ends up killing people. And not only Vioxx, but over 30 other drugs and medical devices approved by the FDA as safe and effective for your use kill people, and now they have class action lawsuits. Well, you know, I guess the legal industry, it's good for them. It's good for the lawyers. It's good for a handful of those lawyers, so, you know, who make the lion's share of the kill. Get the lion's share of the financial kill when they actually can successfully sue a drug company. But, you know, 10, 20, 30 million bucks to a drug company, that's a drop in the freaking bucket. And so we swirl and spiral down into madness because we've let the idiots drive the bus. Well, idiots isn't the correct word. We've let the monopolistic dictators drive the bus. MD-directed medicine is communist. It's communistic. It is. Because MD-directed medicine argues that you aren't smart enough. Your body is not smart enough to take care of itself, just like communist dictatorships argue that the society isn't smart enough to take care of itself. People have to be managed by the intellectually superior state, and the state organizes and orchestrates everything that happens to the populace, and the populace just comes along for the ride because it's the small 1% of the 1% of the intellectually elite who really know what's best for everybody, and this is what you have to do. That's what communist dictatorships do, every single one of them. Well, that's what MDs do. They don't think your body can fix itself, so they deliver a drug to your body, the intention of which is to override, overpower, and control the machinations of your human body. It's to control your inherent biochemistry. They're not trying to fix anything. They're trying to take it over. It's a hostile takeover by a drug. It's a hostile takeover by a drug. For goodness sake. This is what we give our hard-earned money to gain access to. And now this is what President Obama, to his shame, is telling us that we all must do. It's mandatory now. You have to buy access to medical insurance. That's the leading cause of death in the United States. You have to buy access to medical insurance. That's the leading cause of bankruptcy in the United States. You have to gain access to a medical system under whose guidance obesity has skyrocketed, Alzheimer's has skyrocketed, arthritis has skyrocketed, autism has skyrocketed. You got to be kidding me. This is the blind leading the blind, ladies and gentlemen. Now, my recommendation, cancel your comprehensive medical insurance, buy catastrophic medical insurance instead, and use the money that you save every month to get on board with a Healthy Start Pack, the appropriate Healthy Start Pack, a couple of bottles of selenium, a couple of bottles of Z-Radical, whatever it is that you need in order to support and promote your body's built-in, inherent, God-given ability to fix itself, and stop eating the 10 bad foods. This is a really good recipe for health. It's much better to build your health. That's a much better insurance policy, don't you think? Building your health step by step every day rather than keeping your fingers crossed and hoping that you don't get sick. I mean, isn't that why you buy medical insurance? Because you think, holy crap, I'm going to get so sick I won't be able to afford it. Well, it's time to stop that insane mindset and be your own advocate. Get on board, not with anything you find on the internet. Get on board with medical nutrition. Boilerplate health recovery formulas formulated by licensed and regulated naturopathic physicians. This is our wheelhouse. This is our skill set. This is what we bring to the table, and you would be well advised to pay attention to what we have to say, for goodness sake. You know, there are experts in every field of human endeavor. There are some people that excel way more at what they do than the rest of the herd. And I'm here, as God is my witness, in the wonderful undiscovered territory of naturopathic medicine. Dr. Joel Wallach, my colleague, mentor, and friend, the founder of Longevity, is the unrivaled superstar. Take Dr. Wallach's advice at all costs. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, your host, taking your phone calls when we come back. Thanks for tuning in. Stick around. Yeah. Well, you know, if you have a longevity business, you can play on the drum all day. Well, maybe not all day, but you can beat on the drum as much as you want because you're going to have a lot of free time. Because once you become a network marketer, you don't need to work full-time. I mean, you can. There are a lot of network marketers that are going for it, and they are working full-time 24/7, but it's not mandatory because once you get your organization up and running, you generate residual income, which means you continue to get paid for the work that you've already done. And that, my friends, beats a poke in the eye with a sharp stick. We're going to take some calls right now. By the way, 866-582-9933 is the number to call to reach me live, 866-582-9933. We're going to go to L.A. now and talk to Damien. Hey, Damien, thanks for the phone call. You are live.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you getting me online. Been stressed out lately because been with my wife for 9 years, and we just recently got married, and we wanted to have kids. So I tried to do the right thing, and next thing you know, we went and get a sonogram, and it says that my baby has a hole in his head, and his chin's too small, and we should put the baby down. For me being Protestant, that was completely, way out of the question, and my mom's completely atheist. So they're just forcing my wife and feeding her information saying we need to get an abortion. So I went and got a second opinion, and it cost us some money, and I decided to give the second opinion guy the numbers and the charts they gave from the sonogram, and he looked at it and said it's not good, and that was it. Paid money for that, and it was a waste of time. So I decided to go to Kaiser Permanente, and they have this guy there that's has holistic medicine. He knows a little bit about it, and I told him exactly what they told me. They even said to my wife, because I told them that I don't believe in abortions, that she could die, and I was like petrified. So when I told that guy that, he came in there and said, this was about a week later, or 3 weeks later actually, and he said to me that the baby looks like it's developing really good, and what week did you get the sonogram? And I said, I got it on week 13. He said, you're supposed to do at least 15 to 18 weeks. And how could they know that for sure? And he says, your baby looks fine. Well, long and behold, my friend got me into longevity, and I was taking one-way protein because I'm a pro fighter. and it worked too well for me. I had good results, and for 3 weeks I put her on that longevity, and they said now that my kid's going to be able to have birth. But my mom is just totally skeptical, feeding me a lot of saying that it ain't true. And I just want your advice. Is it possible that in 3 weeks in a pregnancy, that giving my wife 3 scoops of longevity every day and the whole 90 essential 90s, it can help my baby?
Well, I mean, absolutely. The answer is absolutely, unequivocally yes. And this is one of the great things that Dr. Wallach's research and skill set has brought to the table. Dr. Wallach was in charge of $25 million of federally funded research from 1970 to 1982, and in that time period, he did 26,000 autopsies, 10 million blood chemistries and histopathologies, and then he went to China after that, did 1,700 other autopsies. Dr. Wallach has pathophysiology dialed right in from a holistic perspective, and Dr. Wallach's research, which is bolstered by his clinical experience and my clinical experience and every other naturopath's clinical experience, more or less, shows that the majority, if not 100%, the lion's share of birth defects are caused not by bad genes, but by nutrient deficiencies in the blood of the pregnant mother. Nutrient deficiencies cause birth defects. I mean, the most famous is neural tube defect caused by a folic acid deficiency. It's a B vitamin. It's a neural tube defect. So if the mother doesn't have enough B vitamins in her blood while she's pregnant, the child is born with the spinal cord exposed, and that's a birth defect. It's not genetic. So Dr. Wallach had a patient a number of years ago, and it was a similar situation. The woman was diagnosed. She went in for, the amniocentesis in the first trimester, and it said, oh, your baby has Down syndrome. The child has Down syndrome, and what are you going to do? And they didn't want to do an abortion because of their religious persuasion, and my hat goes off to them for that. So they got on board with Wallach's program, and 8 months later or 7 months later, however many months later, the child was born with no Down syndrome. So nobody knows at which, when you provide the human body with all of the raw materials that it needs to fix itself all of the time and get the hell out of the way, the body will do remarkable things. The body will do remarkable things. Now, there's another factor that needs to be factored in here. It's medical incompetence. It's entirely possible that the people who did the first sonogram had their heads up their butt. They did it way too soon, and that was the reason that you got confounded information. But in a perfect world, every pregnant woman would be on the 90 essential nutrients for 3 months before she even started to think about getting pregnant. And if we did that, we wouldn't have any more birth defects. Keep up the good work, Damien. You are the man. I've said it over and over again, but it bears repeating. If I seem tall to you, it's because I'm standing on Dr. Wallach's shoulders, and I'm standing on the shoulders of all of the naturopathic physicians that came before me, especially Dr. Wallach. I've learned more from Dr. Wallach in the last 5 years than I had in the previous 20. Dr. Wallach has forgotten more about pathophysiology than most physicians know, and this whole thing about birth defects is a perfect example. The majority, if not all, birth defects are caused by deficiencies in nutrients in the blood of the pregnant mother. When Wallach was working for Yerkes Primate Research Center in Atlanta, Georgia, in the late 70s, he discovered that cystic fibrosis, number one, could cross species lines. It could happen in monkeys as well as humans. That was a giant breakthrough. And he also discovered that it was not genetic, that it was caused by a damaged chromosome. Now, there's a difference between a gene and a damaged chromosome, right? But conventional wisdom is that cystic fibrosis and all other birth defects are Mendelian, are transmitted through Mendelian genetics, that it's a problem with the gene. There's an actual gene that codes for, a cleft lip. There's an actual gene that codes for cystic fibrosis. There's an actual gene that codes for Down syndrome or whatever, and there aren't. These are not genetic, but this is the prevailing thought. Like years ago, the prevailing thought was that illness was caused by bad humors in the human body, and in order to get well, you had to bleed yourself. Cut your wrists open and let the ill humors bleed out of your body, and then close it up just in the nick of time, kind of like chemotherapy, right? in order to keep people healthy. And, you know, they were absolutely positively wrong. Well, they're absolutely positively wrong about this also, but because medical science is the way that it is, and because people are intractable in their intellectual perceptions and they're dogmatic in their beliefs, and they don't want to change because that would mean they had to admit that they've been wrong for their entire lives. When Dr. Wallach published his findings, Yerkes Primate Research Center fired him because they were inconsistent with their beliefs. They fired him. They fired him. And, you know, what, 10,000 people are born with cystic fibrosis a year? That was 30 years ago. It means 300,000 people have cystic fibrosis needlessly because of pig-headed MDs, because of pig-headed MDs. And if you're not pissed off, you're not paying attention. Going to go from L.A. to Houston now to talk to Arnell. Hey, Arnell, thanks for the phone call. You are live.
Hi. Thank you so much for this opportunity to speak with you, Dr. Glidden. There are two areas of interest that I have. What nutrients would you recommend for adult ADHDers and also those who have been diagnosed with sleep apnea?
Oh, well, sleep apnea, that's a very interesting thing. Let's talk about that first. There's no such thing as sleep apnea. Sleep apnea is a physician-created disease. Nobody has ever died from sleep apnea. Now, some people have died, and they've had what medical doctors call sleep apnea, but they've died, and if that has happened, they've died from something else, like a heart attack or some other condition, but nobody has ever died from sleep apnea because it's a non-existent disease. The only people that sleep apnea bothers are the people that the sleep apneic people are sleeping with. It rarely bothers the person who has been diagnosed, quote-unquote, with sleep apnea. Your breathing is outside of your conscious control, just like your heartbeat. You can't regulate your heartbeat by thinking about it. You can't make your heart stop. You can't make your heart skip a beat or, dance to the tune of a waltz. You can't do that. The heart beats the way that it wants to beat. You breathe the way that you want to breathe, especially when you're asleep. Your breathing is regulated in part by the amount of gases that are in your blood, how much oxygen there is versus how much nitrogen and carbon dioxide. When the bad gases, quote-unquote, bad gases build up in the blood, you breathe. And when the bad gases are at a low level, you don't need to breathe. So when you're asleep, depending on your height and your weight and your body mass index and too many variables to predict, your breathing is going to slow way down or speed way up depending on how much carbon dioxide and nitrogen are in your blood at any moment in time. And this is what regulates your respiration. Now, there are some people who go on the CPAP machine because their doctors have convinced them that they have sleep apnea, which is nonsense and grounds for malpractice, in my opinion. But some people who are on the CPAP machine, they feel remarkably better after they're on the CPAP machine. Well, those people don't have sleep apnea. Either they have circulation problems and problems with the circulatory system and the delivery of oxygen to their body through the red blood cells. So people that feel better on the CPAP machine don't have sleep apnea. They have a problem with circulation. Nobody has sleep apnea. I'd recommend everybody just stop the machine and see how they feel. And if they do notice that there's a negative difference after they stop the machine, then they should get on board with a medical nutrition program which supports and promotes their circulatory system. So the recommendation for that is one anti-aging healthy start pack per 100 pounds of body weight per month, one bottle of selenium per 50 pounds of body weight per month, and one ultimate daily capsule, one bottle of ultimate daily capsules per 100 pounds of body weight per month, plus eliminate the 10 bad foods. So eliminate the 10 bad foods, do the ultimate daily, the ultimate selenium, and the anti-aging healthy start packs appropriate for body weight. Give it 90 days, and I got to tell you something, they are going to love how they feel once their circulation gets a little bit of a leg up from science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition. Now, adult onset attention deficit disorder, right? Oftentimes we see this as a misdiagnosis, and if it is in fact a definitive diagnosis and the person actually does have concentration problems or whatever, then this is more often than not a blood sugar issue. So when someone has been given this diagnosis, whether it's definitive or whether it's just made up by the psychiatrist or presumed to be present by the MD, we start for 90 days with elimination of the 10 bad foods and the healthy blood sugar pack appropriate for body weight. But there's a little bit more that you can also do. The central nervous system and the brain are made from cholesterol. So it would be prudent when we're trying to support and promote the structure and function of the central nervous system to give a diet that's high in cholesterol. And don't worry, there's no relationship between high cholesterol and heart disease. Dr. Wallach also proved that, as there are numerous, hundreds of research articles that show there is no relationship between high cholesterol and heart disease. This is another area where the pharmaceutical industry has completely hoodwinked you. So we recommend, because we're trying to support the brain and the central nervous system, a diet that's high in cholesterol, right? So eat a diet that's high in cholesterol. What's the easiest way to do that? Chicken eggs with butter and salt. How about that? Eggs, butter, and salt. Bacon. Rare hamburger, rare steak, full-fat milk, full-fat cheese, butter, and chicken skin. Throw the chicken away, eat the skin, right? Cholesterol, 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 and a diet that has eliminated the 10 bad foods and that's low in sugar, plus the healthy blood sugar pack, and selenium appropriate for body weight. And the little extra add-on here would be something called Smart FX. SMART-FX. My recommendation for this particular condition would be 1 bottle of Smart FX per 100 pounds of body weight per month. And there's another supplement, if you really want to get into it, it's called Renew IQ. Renew IQ can go a long way towards helping to support and promote the function of your central nervous system. Now, there's one more thing that you need to pay attention to. If you think you have ADHD, or if you think your kid has ADHD, or even ADD, right, where you're either spacey or you're hyper, right? With ADD, you're spacey, and with ADHD, you're hyper. Whichever one you think you have, or you've been told that you have, you want to look to see if your condition becomes aggravated after eating certain foods. And this is not the easiest thing in the world to track because it's always a delayed response. So, you'll have, for instance, a sandwich. And if you have an intolerance or an allergy to whole wheat, which we believe most people do, and you have a particular biochemical makeup in your body, the whole wheat can make you spacey. Make you spacey and make you space out. And your spaciness isn't because you have a bad gene. It isn't because you have a voodoo curse. It's because you have a bad doctor. Doesn't know their you-know-what from their elbow regarding medical nutrition or even basic fundamental pathophysiology. And if you just simply stop eating the food that makes you spacey, all of a sudden you're a normal person again. And with kids especially, and this can happen in adults as well, if you get hyper, or like angry or fits of rage or like, little maniac all of a sudden, that's often a reaction to cow's milk, dairy products, milk or cheese or yogurt or butter, right? But it can be anything. Can be a strawberry, can be a cucumber, can be peanuts, can be anything. And this is not a classical allergy like, oh my God, your throat swells up, take me to the emergency room. This is a different classification of allergic reaction. It's referred to as a delayed hypersensitivity allergy. And so you just need to be mindful of when you get, bouts of extra, oh boy, I'm extra spacey today, or I'm extra hyper today. You want to look to see the very last thing that you had to eat or drink and eliminate that from your diet as well. And if you're mindful about these things, eliminate the 10 bad foods and nutrify the body appropriately, guess what? It all goes away. And there should be noticeable, measurable improvement within 90 days, Arnell. Does that sound like a plan?
Yes, it does, and I'm on it right now, Dr. Glidden. Thank you so much, and I enjoyed your lecture when you were here in Houston just a couple of weeks ago with Raymond and Yolanda.
Oh, you're very kind. I always have a good time when I'm with them, and you're very, very lucky to be in their group because they are network marketers extraordinaire, and if they have anything to do with it, the entire state of Texas is going to be taking longevity products within a couple of years. Thanks for your support, Arnell. Now go out there and spread our word of health recovery through medical nutrition. Going from Houston to California next to talk to Karen. Hey, Karen, thanks for the phone call. You are live.
Hello, doctor. I appreciate you very much. I have a customer that just started using the Healthy Start Pack for digestion.
Yeah.
And this is day 5 for her, and she's got diarrhea really bad. She's 200 pounds, and she's taking two packs plus 4 bottles of selenium. Okay,
it's an easy thing to fix. Whenever somebody gets loose stools or diarrhea or even constipation or gas from taking any of Longevity's nutritional supplements, it's not the nutritional supplement that's causing it. It's her body's inability to absorb it. So she's taking too concentrated a dose too quickly. So the recommendation for the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, of course, is 1 level scoop per 50 pounds of body weight per day, right? So if she's 200 pounds, she needs 4 scoops a day. Now, the best way to do that is 1 level scoop in 12 ounces of water 4 times a day. 1 level scoop in 12 ounces of water 4 times a day. And each time she makes a glass of that stuff, I want her to take at least an hour to drink it down. Sip from it slowly over the course of an hour. You know, she can put 2 scoops in 24 ounces if she wants or more, right? And drink from that all morning. Just slowly sip from that all morning and then do it again in the afternoon. This is 100% a dosage thing. She's taking too concentrated a dose too quickly. So if she just dilutes it, it'll all go away in about 24, 48 hours. Just dilute it more. She's going to love how she feels. And Karen, thank you for being a voice of reason in your community. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how we do it, one person at a time. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, 866-582. Welcome back, everybody. Today is the last day of July 2013, the last day of July 2013. 866-582-9933 is the number to call to speak with me live. 866-582-9933. And, I'd like to finish up the last segment of the first hour here by just reiterating the obvious. Our basic fundamental message here is that the human body is endowed with God-given intelligence. Now, I don't care what religion you are. This is not a Catholic thing. This is not a Jewish thing. This is not a Hindu thing. This is not a Muslim thing. This is a spiritual thing. Whatever religion you are, God bless you, and if you're an atheist, I can't help you. Because the fundamental supposition here is that the human body is endowed with a God-given intelligence which is brought to the body by the presence of the soul being whatever it was, that part of you, whatever it is that existed before you were born and which will persist after death, right? Your soul, your true self. Because it's a part of God, it has built-in, innate intelligence. It's the soul force inside the human body which causes the cells of the human body to divide at just the right time to form the human body. It's the soul force, the intelligence of the soul force inside the human body which causes the human body to do all of the autonomic things that it does every millisecond of every day in order to keep itself alive. Your body is not a biochemical soup, as the MDs would have you believe, but the MDs, because they are ensconced in a reductionistic Newtonian physics methodology paradigm, if it can't be measured, it doesn't exist. And since nobody has objectively measured the soul, therefore it doesn't exist, and if it doesn't exist, it doesn't exist, it doesn't exist, period. But if it does exist, it must have an intimate relationship between the health of the body, because it's what caused the body to grow in the first place. And oh, by the way, when Elvis leaves the building at the time of death, what happens to the body? It decays. It's the same biochemistry. Why does it decay? Because the intelligence has left the building. It's no longer there. So our fundamental position here is that the human body has a God-given intelligence which gives the body the power to fix itself. Your body knows how to fix itself. Your body wants to fix itself. I mean, when you cut your hand, do you have to tell your immune system when to secrete fibrinogen and activate complement and increase macrophage response time? You don't even know what those are. All you do is keep the darn thing clean and it fixes itself. Well, when you when you eat an apple, do you have to tell your stomach how to digest it and your intestinal tract how to absorb it and your colon how to poop it out? No. It happens all by itself. As do millions of metabolic processes every second of every day in the human body, all orchestrated by your inherent God-given inborn intelligence. Your body knows how to fix itself. Your body wants to fix itself. And under most circumstances, it can fix itself, but it needs raw materials to do that. Right? Right. If you're building a house, okay, and you've got the permits and the blueprints and the carpenters and the lumber and the nails, or the nail guns, but no nails, nothing's getting built. You need the nails. Your body needs the nails. The nails of your body, the stuff that keeps your body together and going strong, are 90 essential nutrients. 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, and 2 essential fatty acids. 90 essential nutrients. These need to go down the hatch every day. If they do not, something's going to break. It's only a matter of time until something breaks. For goodness sake, if you have a slow oil leak in your car, and the oil leaks out, the engine's going to seize. Was there anything wrong with the engine? No, it lost its oil. Well, your body loses vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin C, calcium, sulfur, zinc, omega-3, omega-6. Something's going to break. But your MD, having no training, no respect, no experience, and no appreciation for medical nutrition, does not know this. So when your body runs out of an essential nutrient and something breaks, they throw a drug at it, which makes things worse. Our fundamental supposition, ladies and gentlemen, 1 healthy start pack per 100 pounds of body weight per month and 1 bottle of selenium per 50 pounds of body weight per day will change your life. Proof of the pudding's in the eating. Check it out. Go to fireyourmdnow.com, click on the longevity button, and get yourself some help through science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition. Stick around. Hour 2 coming up after these messages.